Alright, welcome back, and we'll continue with another color of algae, which is called the brown algae. So this is a new division called Phaeophyta. So Pheo, as you might guess, Pheo mean brown. So the brown plant. So this group have a different character from the green algae, by they having chlorophyll A, just like the green algae, but they start having chlorophyll C and fucoxanthin, which is the brown pigment. So that's something that set them apart from the green algae. And all of the fucosant, all of the phyophyta are multicellular. You don't have a single cell brown algae, and almost all of them in the marine system. So this one you just can't walk around on campus and see them. They have to go to the ocean and see them. And there's no further subgroup of this division we're gonna worry about, so let's not worry about that at all. So we won't touch upon that. So if you are interested, there's other classes you can take to talk about the subgroup of the brown algae. Excuse me for that. Oh god, hopefully I didn't have COVID. All right, let's not joke about that. That's not cool, man. All right, so let's look at the genus Sargassum. So like this, we only have so few genera to talk about in this division. So I'll ask you to actually recognize all of them because they're very distinguishable. So the genus Sargassum have this characteristic like bladder. So they have the air bladder. They're quite big, and it helped them with the flotations of the algae. So if you go to like Chonburi or like any marine tropical place, these are the one that like floating around looking brown and like bobbling, and these are because they have this like air bladder that allow them to float above the water. The other one that look kind of cool is called Padina. So if you can recognize them, it's like the pad is like inside is a pot, so it's like a fan shaped thing. So pad like a fan shaped type um algae, and it's brown, and it's actually look kind of like a mushroom. If you've seen that mushroom that you ate, like the head hunu, like that mushroom. So this look kind of like that, and they actually accumulate like some calcium carbonate here in the ring, so it stay like fan shape here. So that's very distinguishable. And next one is called turbinaria. So turbinaria, let me have a better picture. Probably not. So turbinaria actually like is like a cup shape. You look here. Here is like a goblet type shape. So each one of them look kind of like this, and it stick together, form like a cup shape thing. So this is called turbinaria. Turbine mean like goblet. So if you don't know what a goblet is, it's the glass. So you have a glass there, but the goblet is the glass with like the stem, just like a white glass, but smaller stem. I should show you the picture of goblet. Why not? Give me 1 second here. Goblet. The nice thing about you doing online is that you can actually Google stuff around when you don't see like what you want to see. So this is goblet. So the goblet fire, you are the Harry Potter generation, so you know all about this already. So this is goblet. So it's shaped like that. Together it's brown, so we call this a genus Turbinaria. And the next pretty big one is the kelp. So I want us to recognize the genus of kelp, but this is the stuff that like super huge, like it can form a forest. Oops, sorry, it can form a forest within your ocean. That's like a human size, and it can get really big, and that's the human for scale, and like they're super big. This is a brown algae, and this is actually the algae that used to make the seaweed salad. Even though it looks green, the most of seaweeds are actually the brown algae, and they normally brown, and the green part is the color, the food coloring. So now you know, every time you order seaweed salad, they're not actually green, they're actually the brown algae. It's come from kelp. And the one that we don't have in Thailand, but we would like you to know about is genus Fucus, because they have really characteristic the reproduction system that easy to recognize. So the Fucus here have this like the inflated end. So this is like the receptacle. This is a sex organ. So in the receptacle here, you can, so let me draw again here. There's in the inflated end of the fucus. So there's like, I try to draw the 3D here. So when you cut here, this is the receptacle. So when you cut them here, this is a cross section. You see like inverted like little hole that go inside the tissue of the receptacle. Each one of these called the conceptacle. So the conceptacle is just like the wart that go inside the little niche that go inside the tissue. So you have the female conceptacle and the male conceptacle, and the difference is here. So the male conceptacle produce the antheridium. So this little thing called antheridium, which is the male sex organ. But in the female, of course, they have this bigger structure here, and all this big structure is called oogonium, which is a female sex organ. So both of these like can be in the same receptacle, and they in this larger structure called conceptacle, and they often like intersperse with this like filamentous looking thing, which is called paraphysis. Paraphysis. So these paraphyses are meant to help like protecting all these sex organ from like clashing to one another. So you find all of this in that same conceptacle. So you should recognize them from just looking at the slide, and you know this from the brown algae, this from the genus Fucus. The last division we want you to recognize are the red algae. So the red algae, just like everything else, have chlorophyll A, but also have the phycoerythrin. So erythrin, erythro mean red, just like, you know, if you take in biology before, it's like erythrocyte. This is the red blood cell. So when you see erythro somewhere, this mean red. And all the red algae are multicellular, and they're all in the marine system. They in the ocean or in the salt water. So you want to see the red algae on land or on the fresh water. And the subgroup of this algae is not in this class, so don't worry about that. So I'm gonna ask you to memorize the key, really distinguishable red algae in this division. So the division name of red algae is Rhodophyta. The word rhodo mean red. That's simple. Okay, just red algae. So let's look at some key species of the red algae here. So the first one is Porphyra. This is the one that look red in the ocean, but it also appear in your soup if you order like the algae, like the seaweed soup, the Thai seaweed soup. That the black thing here in your soup is actually the red algae, and the reason being that the red pigment here, the phycoerythrin, is actually water soluble. They dissolve in the water. So when you let the green algae in the water or the red algae in the water for a while, it leach out that red pigments out. So you actually don't see the red colors anymore. So you see the black color instead. So that's the Porphyra, the first one you should recognize. The second one is Pyropia, which is like the nori. This is the algae, the seaweed you snack on all the time. It's look kind of green, but actually the red algae, like I said, the red color being leached out from the algae when you process them to the water. The second one is called Jania. Jania is a crunchy looking red algae. It looks like a little corals. It is all red. You can see it have all this like joint, and it's branching over and over. So this is Jania. They look very different from the others. And the last one is called Cassilaria, or sometimes it's called maidenhair algae. So it's like a female hair. I don't have a female hair, but like it's like flowy. I should wear a wig, right? No, I don't. I should not. I'd have no reason to. All right, it's like flowy in the water. It's look like a somebody hair is kind of scary in the ocean. You see somebody hair floating around. So that is Gracilaria. It looked like that. But in the lab, we'll see in the video, it looks solidly white because all the red coloring is washed off when you put them in the water or alcohol. And another thing that can help you identify the algae is by the zone they live in, because they all have different pigment, right? The different pigment absorb different range of wavelength. For example, chlorophyll A and B, which is here and here, absorb this range and this range. So when when the sunlight go through this, the green algae, which is like at the top in the water, it's like the shallowest water, they will absorb like a lot of wavelength already. So they absorb between 400 to 500 and about 650 to 700. So the light that goes down here is like the filter light is now probably down to between 500 to 650, which is usable by the brown algae, which have fucoxanthin right here. The brown algae have to be pretty close to the green algae, and down below then you have the red algae, which get left over between 550 to or 600, which because they have phycoerythrin and phycocyanin. So the reason they have different pigment because they live in different zone and they like get different light. So if they use all the same pigment, then they have to compete in that same region to get that same amount of sunlight, which is like really difficult for algae. They only have so much space to grow on. So that's called the zonation. So the zonation mean separation into the zone, and in this case is because the wavelength of the light is different, and this give the algae different a different range of wavelength to work with. So one thing that I always recommend people do in biology class is to do comparison on your own. So this is like a table for chlorophyll of Chlorophyta, Phaeophyta, and Rhodophyta, which chlorophyll A, B, and C, and also other pigment and all units. And so you should like be able to complete this comparison on your own. So this is what I'm gonna ask you to do for my assignment for the first week, is that to actually complete this part. So I'm gonna give this as a homework, so we're gonna look for that in your assignment pretty soon. So hopefully you get to finish this clip at some point by next Friday, so that we can actually move on to the next one. And I really hold you responsible for your learning this semester. I know this is probably not the best thing in the world, but I hope you can, if you want to learn more, or if I did not explain things correctly or clearly, please do let me know in the comment, or any way you can reach me. I'll be happy to spend more time like talking to you and make things more clear to you. For now, that's all the material for this week, so I'll see you next week.